Hello, my name is Dr. Richard Avey. Welcome to my channel. I just want to cut this quick little video, kind of explain to you what this channel is all about. I've created this channel purely to help you grow your practice faster than you ever thought possible. In fact, everything that I'm going to teach you will become truly effortless. And that's why, if you haven't already heard about me, or maybe you have heard about me, I'm known as the Effortless Clinic Coach. That nickname was given to me because what I teach my doctors when they go under my coaching is truly effortless. And listen, I'll tell you a bit about my story. And when I tell you about my story, you're going to realize how what I'm going to teach you on this channel is truly effortless. And like I said, you'll grow your practice faster than you ever thought possible. And I take a different approach than pretty much all other doctors, and that's why my system is so effective. You know, just to kind of give you a brief little story about why you should listen to me and what the struggles that I have gone through. I grew from a single practice that was struggling to growing to 8 clinics in less than 22 months. And I retired by the time I was 40. In fact, I retired by the time I was 39. And as you can see right now, I do have a practice, but I'll explain to you why I have this practice right now, because this is all for you. Now I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Now listen, if you're like most of the doctors that I coach, and you know, even myself, when I first got into practice, I sought out a coach because what I wanted to do, I wanted to hit the ground running. I figured, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the professionals in the field. I've been in the field for a long time, avoid the learning curve, and just jumpstart my clinic, and like I said, hit the ground running. Well, if you're like a lot of the doctors that I coach, you've probably gone to the kind of coach that I went to. In fact, the coach that I went to is still in practice right now, teaching other doctors. And so what they did, they taught me how to sell to my consults, how to convince and persuade my consults to undergo my care. Now listen, I have a degree in both psychology, I have a degree in psychology, and of course I am a doctor of chiropractic. So I understand how the brain works. And so what they taught me, like I said, they taught me how to sell and persuade and convince my consults to undergo my care. They also gave me a bunch of scripts. Now I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong with their approach, but I thought, you know what, because they're the professionals, because they've been out for a while, they know what's best. So I followed them to the T. Like everything I do to the fullest extent, to give myself the best chance, the highest probability of success. So I followed them. And I grew my practice to a certain degree. It started to falter. I went back to my coach and said, listen, actually I had 2 coaches at the time. I went back to my coach and I said, listen man, what you're teaching me is not working. I'm using your scripts and so on and so on. I don't like your scripts, but I'm using them. And they said to me, Richard, listen, you got to keep practicing. You'll get used to the scripts. Do what we do and you'll become successful. So I did. I persevered. Long story short, I almost went bankrupt. In fact, I had a real estate agent come to my house to list my house. They came over, and I'll never forget. It was like yesterday. They came over and he was telling me how he's going to sell my house, and we'll list it. We'll have all these nice features because it was a really, really nice house, and so on and so on. It'll sell really, really quickly. Needless to say, I broke down. I saw myself as a failure. I saw myself as a failure to my wife and, of course, to myself. I'm losing my practice. You know, I spent all this time taking all these extra adjusting courses so I could become the best chiropractor, the best doctor I possibly could. I was a great adjuster. I knew what I was talking about and so on and so forth. And yet I spent all this money on my education, and here I am about to lose my practice, despite the fact that I have gone to these coaches, these professionals to help me grow my practice. So I broke down. I went to the bathroom, I excused myself, wiped my face, gathered myself. I remember looking into the mirror. I said, you know what? Forget this. I understand how people think. I have the degree in psychology and sociology. I know how people think. So I said, I'm going to change everything. So I went out, went back to the kitchen. I said to the real estate agent, we're not selling our house. My wife's mouth dropped. She was in shock. I just said, it's going to be okay. So I ushered the real estate agent out. I said, thank you for your time. I apologize for wasting it, but we're not selling our house. My wife was in shock. I said, listen, we're going to change things up. I'm going to change the way we run our practice, the way I communicate to patients, because I know how to properly communicate. I forgot to mention one really important fact. So we couldn't pay for rent. My wife at the time was working as my receptionist. She came up to me and said, Richard, we're in a lot of trouble. We can't pay for rent this month. We can't pay for a mortgage. So I had a very good reputation with the bank. So I called my bank up. I said, listen, I need a quick injection of money. I need $20,000. Can you give it to me? They said, yes, no problems. And they said, when can you return it? We need the money back in 30 days. I said, okay. I had literally 30 days to drum up a lot of business, pay off my loans, pay off my debts, pay everything, and close the vast majority of my consults to patients. Not only that, but I had to bring a ton of new patients into my office to not only pay for the month's rent and mortgage, but bank up enough money to pay for the next month and the month after that, and of course repay the $20,000. So I had to create a system that worked extremely, extremely well. Not only extremely well, but it had to be seamless and turn everything on a dime. So I had to work really, really quickly. So I did. And I grew from a struggling practice, like I said, to 8 clinics in less than 22 months. I then retired by the time I was 39 years old. And I'll explain to you what I did thereafter. See, what I discovered the secrets on how to properly communicate and engage with my patients, my potential my consults, my potential patients, so that they would sign up for care. But not only sign up for care, but I had to crank up my fees to, I think it was like 2 to 3 times my normal fees. And I had to get them to sign my care without any resistance and start right away. And not only start right away, but be compliant with my care and finish my treatment protocol as I had laid out. You see, the error in the way in which doctors or coaches teach practitioners, such as yourself, what do they teach you? They teach you how to sell. Like I said, they teach you how to sell and convince your consults to undergo your care. But here's the fundamental problem. As we all know, no one likes to be sold to, right? So if we know that no one likes to be sold to, why are doctors, why are chiropractic coaches insistent on teaching you how to sell to your consults? It doesn't make sense, right? Again, no one likes to be sold to, but everybody likes to buy. So again, if you're taught to how to sell or convince or persuade your consults to undergo your care, and they don't like to be sold to, well, it's only natural that you're going to be met with resistance, right? Of course, right? Because again, no one likes to be sold to. So, when you try to sell or convince your consults, they might be nodding and agreeing to what you have to say as you're going through their consultation or their ROF, right? Because you're taught, well, the more your consult says yes, the higher the probability of that consult undergoing your care. So they're nodding at the proper times, but still at the end of care, or at the end of your ROF, what do they say? They say, you know what? I'm not interested. Or better yet, they'll say, you know what? Let me go home and think about it. Let me talk to my wife or my spouse, and I'll get back to you. But they never come back, right? They never come back. Or in order to convince them to undergo your care, you lower your fees. Or maybe you already started off with lower fees because you're worried about your consult saying no to your care based on your fees. Because what you're doing is you're creating resistance right from the start. Again, like I said, no one likes to be sold to, but everybody likes to buy. And that's the massive issue. And that's what's causing hindrances in your success. Why you're not seeing as many people as you want to see, why you're not converting your consults into patients at the percentage that you want to see, at a high percentage, and also why you're not driving a ton of new patients to your office. And listen, you know what? I've noticed that there are a lot of services out there that said they will drive 60, 70 patients to your clinic a month, right? But here's the problem. If you don't know how to properly communicate to your patients or your potential patients or your consults to undergo your care, well, it doesn't matter how many how many consults are being sent to your office, right? And here's the bigger issue. When you're sent all these consults and you're not converting them, they're converting the vast majority of your consults to new patients, guess what's happening about your reputation? Like they say, if someone has a bad experience, they're going to tell 7 people, right? Whereas they have a good experience, they tell 1 or 2. So when someone has a bad experience and you're not converting the vast majority of your consults into new patients, and yet you're seeing a bunch of new consults into your office, guess what happens to your reputation? It kind of goes down the drain, right? And then you're doing reputation management, right? Then you're struggling. Now your reputation in your community is bad, so now you're creating more barriers to your success. So what did I do to create such a successful practice? How did I grow to 8 practices in less than 2 years when I had a struggling practice, when I was taught by these coaches on how to properly talk to my patients? What I did, I discovered the secret on how to properly communicate with my patients, where I was never selling to my consults or my potential new patients. Instead, I learned how to communicate and engage with my consults so that they sold themselves on my care. They sold themselves, which means they were convincing themselves that I was their best treatment option. They were convincing themselves that I was a doctor that was going to give them the results that they've been desperately seeking. And guess what? When they convince themselves that you're their best treatment option, they're doing all the work. They're selling themselves, aren't they? And when they convince themselves that you're their best option, guess what? They're almost always going to undergo your care, right? Not only are they going to undergo your care, but because they're convincing themselves that you are their best treatment option, they will be willing to pay your higher fees because they convince themselves that your fees are justified, right? What else? When you know how to properly engage with your community, with your consults so that they sell themselves on your care, they're going to be more committed to your care. So you don't have to worry about them dropping out prematurely. So what you're doing is, when you properly communicate, where you get your consults to sell themselves on your care, they become the ideal patient. Step 2, I don't give scripts. See, what happens is, when you learn scripts, and here's a big fundamental problem with the scripts, and this is why doctors that follow scripts, not only do they have hindrances, like I said earlier, but they are actually seen as used car salesmen. Let me explain. Understand that a lot of people, a lot of doctors, they don't like to sell. A lot of doctors have different personality types from the coaches that they're dealing with, right? So the scripts that they're given, the scripts are designed by those coaches, their personality type, dealing with their patient base, their geographic area, the way that geographic area, that patient base interacts. So now you take these scripts in your community, your town, with your personality, and it doesn't sound authentic, right? You're forcing yourself, oh, you know what? Well, if this doctor uses it and it's very successful, then it's got to work. But the problem is, you're not being authentic. You know you're not being authentic. These scripts don't feel authentic. They just don't jive with the way you talk and your personality type. So guess what? If they're not authentic to you, imagine how your potential patient, your consults, will perceive you as you're spewing out these scripts. They're going to see you as unauthentic, right? And when they see you as unauthentic, guess what? They're not going to trust you, right? And when they don't trust you, what are they going to do? They're going to walk. They're going to say, you know what? Sorry, I'm going to have to think about it. Or, you know what? I don't think this is right for me. What you need to do, you need to be able to talk in your normal, everyday verbiage. Talk in your authentic way. You need to talk in your way that you always talk, because that'll be always more authentic to you. What you need to learn is learn how to communicate with your consults so that they sell themselves on your care. Because you know what? Say you don't like to sell. I don't like to sell. Who does like this? Well, there's some people that like to sell, and good for them. But the vast majority of practitioners don't like to sell. So when they're trying to sell, they always get nervous about, what do they say? Well, the main thing is, Dr. Richard, teach me how to close. Because they think that when you present your fees, that's when you actually close your consults. And that's not the case. In fact, when you learn how to get your consults to sell themselves on your care, when you present your fees, that's the easiest part. That is the easiest part, because they're already wanting to start your care. In fact, what I also teach you how to pre-close your consults before they even walk into your office. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by pre-close? Well, the system that I teach, and again, why it's so effortless, It's because their consults, even before they step foot in your office, they're already wanting to start your care. So imagine your consults already wanting to start your care. Imagine how easy it would be to convert your consults into new patients. Be effortless, right? And that's why I've been termed the effortless clinic coach. Because everything I do is effortless. Listen, my philosophy in life is real simple. I just want to kick back, relax. I want to kick back and relax. I want to enjoy my family. I want to enjoy my free time. I want to travel, and I want to have enough money in my bank where I can buy anything I want when I want. No, I'm not one that just buys things here and there. I'm not into that, okay? I'll explain to you what I do and how I buy things in a second. What gives me satisfaction is knowing that I have enough money in my accounts that if I want to buy something, I can buy it. So I could have. That's what gives me the satisfaction. I could have. So if I wanted to buy something, I'll buy something. The other thing is this. I don't buy like a lot of things. You know, in my courses, you'll see my practice and how I grew it, what I drive, and all that sort of stuff, and how effortless, and I'll get into that later on. But I buy things based on my rewards. So if I make $100,000 in a month, then I'll buy something. I have to meet certain goals, then I'll buy something. That's how I've always been, and that's what gives me the motivation to continue on. Now understand something else, and I believe in this philosophy, and this is how I live my entire life. Like I was saying earlier, I believe in doing minimal work, but creating maximum return. You've always been hurt, you've always been taught, you've always heard that you gotta work hard, you gotta grind to become successful. Let me tell you something. It is lazy people that work hard. I'll say that again. It is lazy people that work hard. What do I mean by that? Lazy people will not find the easy way of doing something for maximum returns. Instead, they'll just keep grinding away to become successful. Why would you want to do that? Why would you not find an easier way that gives you maximum return, highly efficient, maximum return, maximum revenue, maximum time off with little effort? Let me give you an analogy or give you an example. You can plow your field using a horse, right? Or you can use advanced mechanized technology. They'll both give you the same outcome in the end, but one will take you forever to do, the horse, whereas the mechanized advanced technology will get it done in a fraction of the time. So why would you not want that mechanized technology, get it done maximum time so you get maximum revenue and kick back and have all the free time you want? That's what my system is purely designed to do. And that's how I was able to grow from a single practice to having 8 clinics in less than 2 years. My communication techniques, how I position my clinic, how I was able to get my consults to undergo my care was so easy, so efficient that I could do it instantly. That's why I have an 85% conversion. Actually, it's probably higher than 85. I think about 87, 88% conversion rate. That's why if you go to my website, the Clinic Build Formula, okay, which they'll have in the links here, or the link in my bio, you'll see the testimonials of my doctors. You'll see the text messages of doctors that are making $80,000 in 3 weeks, how they're charging $8,500 for their treatment protocols and so on and so forth, how easy it is to convert the consults to new patients. Listen, like I said, this platform is specifically geared to help you grow your practice effortlessly. Grow it faster than you ever thought possible so you can maximize your free time. And if you don't maximize your free time, you don't want to do that, say you want to work more and more, you can do that. It's completely up to you. Now, let me address, as you can see here in my office here, you can see that I'm back to practicing. But you think, well, Richard, you said you retired by the time you're 40. One of the most common questions that I get from doctors that undergo my coaching is, well, Richard, if you had to start all over again, like right now, right from scratch, with this kind of economic time, the way the economy is, and with all the competition out there, and so on and so forth, is it really that effortless? What would you do? So one day I woke up, and I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open up a practice. I'm going to open up a practice and video documents everything. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to grow a practice. Now understand, I haven't been in practice for a long, long time, years and years and years. So I didn't have any equipment. I didn't have obviously a clinic name. I didn't have a clinical location. I didn't even have a place to practice. So what I did, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open up my practice on a minimal budget. I'm going to open up a small town. What I did is I decided to throw in a bunch of obstacles in my way just to prove to you how easy it is to grow a practice. And like I said, I video documented everything. From the moment I thought about having the practice to the day I opened up and how I grew my practice, the ups and downs. And within just 60 days, actually less than 60 days, I started to net $25,000 each and every month, right from the start. That's net, which means in my bank account. I start off with a $6,000 to $7,000 budget. That's all I did. I didn't go into any of my other accounts. I just said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pretend I'm a struggling student. I only have $6,000 to $7,000, and I'm going to grow my practice. You'll see it if you go to my website, the Clinic Build Formula, which is right here, and again, it's my show notes. Actually, on the show notes, excuse me, in the bio notes, I'll have the link to my website where I have the Effortless Clinic Build course, where I'll show you everything. And what I did was, within that time frame of $6,000 to $7,000, within just less than, I think it was about 45 days to be exact, before I even opened my doors for the very first time, my schedule was fully booked with consults. Now, I understand as well, I forgot to mention this, I had opened up my practice in 2019, so right before COVID. I didn't know that COVID was going to happen. But the practice I opened, I forgot to mention this, was in a very small town. There were practitioners everywhere. In fact, there were 2 chiropractors directly in 2 different offices directly across the street from me. There was a physiotherapy clinic, a large physiotherapy clinic, directly across the street from me. And there was another one about less than a half a block away. And there was a massage therapist. There were 2 massage therapists in my building. And yet, I created my clinic where I almost instantly became the go-to practice in my community and my surrounding community. In fact, I positioned myself so well that my average patient base came from about an hour and a half away. Not only my community, but an hour and a half away. So they bypassed all the other practitioners, all the chiropractors along that way, that hour and a half away, just to come specifically to my office. And I thrived. Then when the pandemic hit, while other chiropractors were struggling, they were closing the doors around them, and they couldn't pay for their bills, or they lessened their hours, I actually grew my practice twice to larger and larger practices, okay? And that's all in my video. And I video documented everything. I show you everything. I show you my website. I show you my marketing. I show you my build, how I acquired all this different equipment, everything. And if you follow those steps, or even just the general principle of those steps, it will almost guarantee that you too will have $1 million practice. No other chiropractic coach has ever done that. And I still have the practice here. I'm probably going to be selling it soon or just kind of give up. Not give up, but just kind of close it down later on because I love coaching. My passion really is coaching. But anyways, that's what I have right here, and you'll see it in my video. Anyways, I know I'm talking for a long time right now, but listen, check out my website. Check out my platforms on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. All the links will be in the show notes or in the bio or wherever you're watching this video. And listen, my email is right here. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to email me at any time. But I promise the information that I'm going to be sharing on my platforms will grow your practice faster than you ever thought possible. You won't have to use scripts. It is done in such an efficient manner that you can listen, even in my courses, and I have a number of different courses, like my Effortless Chiro Close course, my Effortless Viral Testimonial course, all that sort of stuff. Everything I teach you is very, very simple, very, very easy to digest, and very, very easy to learn and implement. Like I always tell people, when you sign up for my courses, for example, you can take an entire weekend to learn everything, implement it on the Monday, and just watch how fast your clinic will grow. Faster, like I keep saying, faster than you ever thought possible. and it truly is effortless. Listen, I want to thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. I look forward to talking to you soon. I'll be cutting a bunch of new videos as much as I possibly can. I'll try to post every few days, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it helps you build your practice. Take care now.